Welcome today to this webinar. My name is Karen. I represent startups.be, which is basically the Belgian startup ecosystem, and I am one of the project community animators, and I will be hosting this session today. Before we dive into the details of the webinar, I would like to inform you on a couple of practical details. We will be having a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so in about 40 to 45 minutes. You will have the ability to pose your own questions to the different panelists that I will introduce shortly through the questions tab in the webinar tool. You can pose your questions, which we will be repeating and reverting to the right speaker at the end of the session, but also feel free to use the Twitter hashtag mentioned in this opening slide, so that's hashtag EU Data Landscape, for any comments that you might have or anything that you would like to see discussed or shared during this webinar. So we're very happy to welcome you to the webinar on Europe's data-driven manufacturing industry, discussing the benefits and the impacts on European factories operations. This is actually the second webinar of this European data market study. The objective of the study will be discussed shortly, but it's basically to define, assess and measure the European data economy in support to the achievement of the data value chain strategy of the European Commission. We have three speakers with us currently today. First of all, Giorgio Micheletti will be introducing this project in more detail to you. He's consulting manager at IDC within the European Government Consulting Team, who is currently project managing the European Data Market Study. So he will spend a few introductory words on this engagement more specifically. He will be followed by Lorenzo Veronesi, who is research manager at IDC and within the IDC Manufacturing Insights practice. In his position, Lorenzo carries out primary and secondary research on the manufacturing sector in EMEA and regularly presents at ICT vendors or manufacturing end users events. And Lorenzo will conduct most of this webinar discussing this in more detail. And we will finish off with Sergio Cusmeroli. He's research coordinator at the Politecnico di Milano, who has a long-standing expertise and experience with EU research and innovations policy, research and innovation frameworks, and EU Digital Agenda for Europe, with specific reference to the manufacturing industry. So in this webinar, Sergio will focus mostly on the future aspects of the manufacturing industry. I was trying to show this to you, but it wasn't working out. So here are the three speakers presented to you just recently. Basically, the purpose of the second webinar is a simple and thought-provoking outline of the key data technologies impacts on the European manufacturing industry, with specific reference to operational improvements. What happened yesterday, what is happening right now, and what will be happening tomorrow. So to that end, we will present and share some real-life stories, examples, case studies, and also potential future use cases from the European manufacturing industry, and try to validate these findings and stories through an open discussion with you about the current and future trends of data-driven manufacturing applications and use cases. To cut right to the chase, I would like to introduce you now to Giorgio Micheletti, who will kick off with an introductory on the project that this webinar is basically a part of. But don't forget, if you have any questions throughout the webinar or at the end, to pose them through the tool or over Twitter, and we will be getting back to them by the end. So Giorgio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karen. Hi everyone, and thank you for taking part of this to this seminar. I don't know what do I have the right to move the slides, or yeah? So I think yeah. So we are here. I hope everybody sees this introductory slide. I hope that everybody sees this introductory slides with the content of this webinar. So I will spend just a few words on the European data market study. Now, this study is being carried out by IDC and Open Evidence. It's a 37-month engagement with the DG Connect of the European Commission. So it's a long-standing engagement, which received from day one, I would say, a high level of visibility. First of all, from the former Vice President of the Commissions and Digital Agenda Commissioner Neelie Kroes, but it's also now receiving attention from the current Commissioner responsible for digital society and economy, so Mr. Günther Oettinger. So it's a very important research engagement that IDC and Open Evidence are carrying out, and the idea here, as Karen said, is to assess and measure the European data economy. So we are moving here in an uncharted territory. We need to define, we need to carry out a lot of preliminary and primary and secondary research. Now, among the different objectives that this project has, there is certainly the idea of sizing the market. There is the idea of creating and sustaining a community, and this webinar is part of these activities. But there is also the idea of having a series of anecdotes. I mean, they're not just a quantitative research, but also qualitative evidence, anecdotal evidence of what the data-driven economy is producing today and will produce in the future, and what impact will have on our industry ecosystems and on the society as a whole. As part of this, we have recently submitted and presented a story, let's say, on the manufacturing industry, and this story, or part of the results of this story, is what my colleague and experts on manufacturing, Lorenzo Veronesi and Sergio Gusmeroli, are going to present you now. So with this few words, I would actually leave the floor to Lorenzo to continue the overview of the manufacturing, and then going a bit more in details on this webinar. Lorenzo?
A bit upside down, but worst case, I would propose we first skip to Sergio.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sergio Gusmeroli. I'm research coordinator at Politecnico Milano. So we will make a back to the future. So we will start from the future. We will start from the research and innovation perspective, and then we will come back to reality and what is the starting point. So I have just 3 slides to try to explain you which are the major impact in research and innovation of application of data-driven technologies to the manufacturing industry. First of all, I would like to say that Politecnico Milano organized last year the World Manufacturing Forum in Milano, and in July. And during this special event, we had the participation of the most important experts in research and innovation for manufacturing. I selected just one slide from the World Manufacturing Forum, which in my opinion is very significant to see that manufacturing is not a static domain. It is something which has a very intense evolution, and it is not the same to have to address by ICT and by data-driven economy the manufacturing of the 70s and the manufacturing of the current years. Here we have the so-called SMILE challenge. This SMILE challenge is just qualitative, is not purely quantitative. So you can see here that there is a different pattern of the value-added activities related to manufacturing, and there is a progressive decreasing of the value added by the pure production of tangible and physical goods, and even increasing activities in the pre-production and post-production activities. And this switch between production of physical goods to an overall product life cycle management is something which is enabled by new data technologies, data management technologies. And the point is that we have to set up a seamless digitalization of the product, a seamless digitalization of the product life cycle and of the production side, so that we could have the coverage of data in the pre-production till to the extreme post-production activities. For instance, we are talking about a new product design, research and development, ideation. And you see that now there are also different and new business models for manufacturing, like the ones proposed by the makers, the Fab Labs, the do-it-by-yourself community. And so all these creative and prototyping activities which are related to the technology of 3D printing and additive manufacturing. On the other side, in the after-sales services, we have an increasing demand for additional services to our product. And so especially for Europe, it is very important to come to a good definition of a product service system, a product service solution that is not just a physical product, but a physical product which is able to provide services for the customers and services also for the manufacturing industry. This is especially valid for maintenance, diagnosis, and training services. So we have one main challenge, which is a research and innovation challenge, and which is related mostly to the SMILE, to the different pattern of the manufacturing industry. Then we have a real innovation in the business models. In the business models, data-driven economy should allow new and very innovative business models also for the manufacturing industry. This is a project which has just concluded, where Politecnico di Milano was one of the major beneficiaries, and we analyzed in deep which is the impact of servitization to the manufacturing industries. And data-driven servitization is our driving concept as well. So the point is that we need to provide better services to our customers, and we need to provide also new business models, new solutions for them. For instance, here we could go to the extreme step of this three-dimensional framework, which says that you are not selling products anymore, but you are selling just services, which is a reality in many contexts. So, for instance, you sell copies per day and not photocopy machines. You could sell washing cycles and not washing machines. You could sell flying hours and not aircraft engines. So this trend toward servitization is closely related also to the personalization and customization of the solution. And in the MSc project, we have analyzed these new business models and which is the impact of these new business models to the manufacturing industry. It is not easy for a product-driven, product-oriented, and product-structured company like usually our manufacturing companies and SMEs in particular to really embrace and to really adopt a servitization channel. So, second point for data-driven economy is to link the data-driven technology with the new business models and in particular service-oriented business models. Third part is are our workers, are our employees in the manufacturing industry ready to the data-driven challenge, to this new evolution, to this new revolution? And we have a third challenge, which is last but not least, and it is a challenge about education and training. We could interpret this in two basic ways. One way, how to attract young talent students to the manufacturing. currently manufacturing is not perceived as very attractive by teenagers especially. And so Politecnico Milano is coordinating a support action which is called ManoSkills, and it is about which are the new methodologies, the new tools, the new technologies which could be put in place in order to facilitate the injection of young talents into the manufacturing world, into the manufacturing industry. The second part of the education challenge is mostly related to the workers, especially elderly workers or workers who are 40 or 50 years old, who have most of the knowledge about the manufacturing processes, most of the knowledge of the product, and they need to be reskilled and upskilled to this new data-driven revolution. And so the point is addressed by several other projects, which indeed are located in the technology enhanced learning stream of research. And they are going to use learning analytics techniques in order to measure the effectiveness of training and education, games and learning, serious games as the best way to train elderly people and people who are not digital natives, and the Tell Me project. The Tell Me project, which is using virtual reality and augmented reality in order to reskill and upskill blue-collar workers. So this is my this concludes my intervention. So in the future, we see three main challenges. One, which is research and innovation, seamless continuity of data, of digitalization of the manufacturing processes. The second, which is related to the way to propose this digitalization to the market, which means service-oriented business models, basically. And third, to operate on the human resources, to operate on the blue-collar workers and the white-collar workers with a concrete program of education to attract young talents and to upskill and reskill current blue-collar workers. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Sergio. And luckily, we were able to get Lorenzo back into the webinar by now. So I will now proceed to make Lorenzo a presenter so we can jump back to the past and the present, explaining how we get to these trends. Lorenzo.
I was just going to present myself and say that we are IDC Manufacturing Insights. We are part of IDC, and we are a dedicated group which are our core business is help manufacturing companies working out the business problem with IT and how IT can solve the business challenges. But
sorry to interrupt, Lorenzo. Lorenzo, this is Karen. Do you have slides to show? Because we're looking at your screen, but I suppose you have a presentation standing by.
Yeah, are you moving the presentation for me, Karen?
Yes. Will you be using slides or not?
Yeah. I have the slide where we describe Manufacturing Insights core business.
Yes, feel free to put it on your screen because we are watching with you.
Okay.
Just to show the presentation.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There we go.
So can you see it now?
Absolutely. You can put it on your laptop, then we all have it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, okay. Okay, can you see just the slide, or you see also? Can you see the slide clearly?
Yes, now we see the slide in presentation mode. You can go ahead, absolutely.
Okay. So basically, what we're trying to do is, Lucy, we have different segments we cover. So we cover most of the value chain, so from chemicals, automotive, high tech, semiconductors, and we look across all the business domains, supply chain, product life cycle, operation technology. So we look at all what is core to manufacturing business. And I just wanted to move up, start my presentation with just describing what's happening in the manufacturing industry. So in this slide, I put together a series of cover magazines from key magazines now. And as you can see, these are not magazines that are specific to manufacturing, but are rather generalist magazine. You see how often manufacturing comes and pops in the headlines, and that's really interesting to see how the journey of manufacturing is taking now. So after having talked about the collapse of manufacturing, The Economist in 2009, The Economist published a whole special, probably most of you remember that, on the third industrial revolution that is going on. And we have seen before what is truly special, this big technological and cultural transformation, is that the European Union is really at the central place, and this is really shaping the way the industry will be managed over the next 20 years. And I wanted also to show you a remarkable example of how complex this transformation is and how complex and difficult the market companies are facing today, how complex it is. And you see a comparison here of 2 front pages from the Time magazine, so less than 1 year in time lag, and this is not necessarily contradictions. You see made in USA and then made in China. In particular, the title Made in China were about the main issue that China is becoming both the low-cost manufacturing hub and a growing market for companies like Apple and US companies and European companies. And the other one about Made in USA was really titled Manufacturing is Back, but Where Are the Jobs? And this is really highlighting the growing skills gap that is happening within the manufacturing industry. And Sergio just talked about this, the pressure of skills gap on companies. And all these trends are really significant to EU, and more recently here we are facing the issue of China becoming less business friendly for your company, and all new technological hypes that will just re-amplify the degree to which manufacturing business is coming back to Europe and the relevance it will have on Europe. And just to enter the topic, I just wanted to show you the results from our recent Pan-European summit. So we held this summit in November where we gathered together a number of key professionals in the industry for 2 days together to talk about business and IT. And during the event, we had the opportunity to survey our delegates about a number of topics. And now I'm pleased to share with you some of the results. And so we talked about the need for a business model transformation. And as you can see in the chart, the vast majority of delegates really say the organization is running to transformation or is starting the transformation, and the need to change their business model. And what is also interesting to note, this is showed on the right-hand side of the chart, is a huge polarization between companies that are willing to actively change and companies that are reactive to market changes. So interesting to see how the market is really split into half, but within companies that are more reactive and companies that are more proactive, but to see which transformation is taking off. So I wanted to use a construct that we put together, and I think that highlights very well the situation, and it's called the 3D value change, where the 3D really does not have anything to do with 3D printing or 3D simulation, but really there are 3 actual steps, and each represented by a D. So these steps will all help companies move away from a transactional business to a real-time one. And here we'll add the first step, that is demand orientation, because becoming more demand-driven. So this really means that this is not a new step. This is happening now. It's happened a lot in the past. This is not a new topic, but companies need to continuously improve this. In particular, now they need all the line of business resources to be aligned on customer requirements and having the processes run at the very tact time of the customers, and everything calibrated really to the cadence of their customer, be it in B2B or in B2C market, of course. And there's a lot of work to do still. Where in particular? So this is highlighted in this arrow that shows the shift from efficiency to customer fulfillment. Again, I will use to highlight this. I use again the results from our summits, from this survey we did during the summit, and this is really real life voice from end users. And as you can see in the picture, the first initiative for company, we asked them what is your most important area your company has to improve, and it's product innovation, of course. But today, product innovation is very complex and involves supplementing the product with additional services. And to better align their product with customer requests, companies are aiming at moving away from today's their excess focus on efficiency toward a higher attention for customer fulfillment. And you see it in the figure. So most of companies say we need to augment our operational agility and become more customer fulfillment, rather than merely say we need to be efficient, because they realize that too much focus on efficiency, it's good and will always be important, but really make the company away from the more important goal of fulfilling the customer. And so that really pointing company that creating a customer-centric culture, really helping them thinking out of the box and really get ready for a profound rethinking on their current IT landscape. So this is what is happening now. So companies are becoming more data-driven. So you see here the second D in the transformation, and you can see that is the centerpiece of the transformation, where the curve is becoming steeper. So it means that it's a difficult transformation, but it is what makes company leaping from a transactional business toward becoming a real-time business. And this really entails having availability information for all decision makers across line of business, across management board, to take actionable decisions, to take decisions that are in context, that are profitable, decisions that are not siloed, but take into account the whole nature of the organization. And this transformation is central, and to do so, companies are leveraging more and more new technology, what we call the third platform, that is based on mobility, big data analytics, cloud, and social business, that are really substituting the traditional server IT architecture that is called the second platform. And to further explain this, again, I'm using our data, and I really would like to highlight the frustration that many companies have regarding their current IT system, which are considered ineffective or inadequate to support the fast decision-making capability that is required in today's fast-paced business environment. And really, as you can see, most of companies we interviewed are considering or is already actively transforming their IT landscape. And if you look at what are the technologies that are more relevant in this transformation, we really see how big data analytics is central. So companies are really looking at data-driven manufacturing, having data. Really, they're looking for an easy way to generate information, analyze information, and distribute information across all the organization. And so we're coming to the center of this presentation and say, okay, they're sharing information, they're making their business more data-driven, but what does it mean for the operational side? What does it mean for the core business of manufacturing, which resides in the factory? So we try to highlight 4 different use cases, and they are really related to production facilities and really created of assembly of pre-finished products. And these areas are quality management, and predictive maintenance, and operational intelligence that are within the operational domain. And another area that is very relevant at the moment is sales and operational planning. That means linking together the operational plant, the operational side of the business with the supply chain, be it inbound or especially outbound logistics. So how to link becoming more demand-driven through being data-driven. So now let's try and drill down for each of these application areas. We will present a case study and also an IDC estimate of the impact that improving that very process through better instrumenting with data can have on a European level. So the first area we would like to talk about is quality management. So we said product innovation is a key strategy for manufacturers to be relevant to their demand. Manufacturers in Europe are and around the world, of course, but we're talking about European manufacturers are really under increasing pressure because the demand is becoming more and more picky, more difficult to satisfy, and they have to ensure perfect quality and of course yield to retain efficiency. And quality is essential, so no company will ever say quality is not their key area. But really the real gap today is that this quality is still siloed. So what typically happens in an organization is once a problem is worked out, it is difficult for organization to have this happening again in the future, or maybe in another department. So again, really the problem here is how to empower decision makers in taking back the decision, and by applying advanced analytics and extracting quality KPIs in real time, manufacturers can really make sure that their product's quality is kept at high levels during every single stage of production, and ensure that this happens before the product is delivered to the customer, and as for improving customer satisfaction. So just to provide an example of this intelligent quality management, we just wanted to talk leading European pump manufacturers that quite significant. They produce about 20 million units on a yearly basis. And of course, quality in this kind of product is essential, and it's all based on fantastic R&D they have. And they really they realized that the way they were doing quality checks was not enough for the organization, because it was expensive and was mostly done on manual inspection. So it was time-consuming and not effective. So they implemented an advanced analytics solution to obtain an overview of all quality-related data throughout all the organization, and ensure they had a consistent KPIs and analysis of errors about quality. And that's significantly improved the internal quality yield and increased the transparency, the whole quality management processes across the overall group. And really, the company estimated that the usage of advanced analytics solution applied to the quality management really helped them in achieving a reduction in the rate of defect products from 20–30% in 5 years. And what does it mean for a European level, for all the European manufacturing industry? So we estimate that all companies, from SMBs to bigger enterprise, can achieve a lot of benefits from that. And you see them highlighted in particular. If you just consider the top 100 enterprises in the European Union, this could mean about 160 billion of saving if really scrap and rework is reduced to hypothetically to zero level. So it's an extremely significant area of impact of this technology, and this is done through the manufacturing business. So the second application area is predictive maintenance. So today, traditional maintenance practices are changing, so companies don't use anymore the traditional preventive maintenance where you stop an equipment from their operation to do a routine maintenance inspection or maintenance activity, but companies are relying more on predictive and condition-based maintenance practices that are really supporting, are based through the use of sensors, and are really extensively deployed now, especially in asset-oriented value chains and sectors. And by applying this, company can really reduce the probability in happening a dangerous situation, because the equipment is under constant consideration, under constant surveillance, and of course they increase the use of their equipment, because they can rely on the equipment on a better way for a longer time. And a case study to highlight that is really how this helped a leading automotive manufacturer to change their business model. So they're more and more understanding that selling vehicles is not a good business for them, but rather providing transport solutions. So rely more and more of the condition based on the engine workings, on the automotive, on the truck they sell, to improve the customer service, again becoming more customer oriented. And this is really highlight how what in the past was considered just as a routine activity, with new technology becomes a true changer of business. And what does it mean this at a European level? So again, we can see that there are a lot of benefits, but I just would like to focus on reduced downtime and related costs that can be up to 50% European level, and this leading to a production increase of almost 20%. So very, very significant impact. And the third area, I mean, this is really directly correlated to optimizing the production processes, and there's a link to very, very specific issues. So in the past, manufacturing plants were considered by manufacturers themselves, which is quite strange, considering this is their core business, as a mere black boxes. So where nobody outside a panel of dedicated people really care about what happened inside the shop floor. But today, of course, companies need to have a better understanding, because the shop floor is a supply chain bottleneck. They need to understand what happens in real time on the shop floor, and therefore they need, as I say here, unbox the black box and make it more understandable for people that are not technical and they need to understand the impact of the decision on a day-to-day basis. And to do so, they're implementing more and more operational intelligence technologies and initiatives, which can really cover the gap between what is the intelligence provided by real-time controls and sensor on the shop floor and the really transactional enterprise-wide BI. And that's really use support. And what is important to know here is that that is not something that has to do with a peculiar technology, but it's rather creating a combination of collaboration technology and analytics application to really being able to drive intelligence from the shop floor to the board level and from board level backwards to the shop floor. Just to provide you a case study. So this exemplifies a typical aspect of this problem, that manufacturers typically suffer from overflow data, and they have troubles in converting the huge amount of data they receive, this data deluge, into actionable information. And this example comes from a leading company in the agro industry that quite significant in size and scope of operations. They're starting to better understand the operation. They're starting implementing a historian, so technologies that manage a large volume of plant data. But I thought it was very efficient. This created other problems. In particular, the company was not able to establish a best practice framework, so that all employees had a different way of working with the data and using the data, treating the data, analyzing the data. And moreover, this data were siloed inside the shop floor, and nobody outside the shop floor knew what was happening in the manufacturing plants. As such, the company implemented an operational intelligence layer on top of their historians to able to conduct detailed process investigation, review performance, and monitor production rates and performance. And as an example, they improved really the data analysis and be able to achieve a significant business benefit. For example, they reduce the bottleneck cycle time for a significant amount of the business. And what does it mean at European level? So we did a simple calculation and found out that improving the way shop floor is connected with the rest of the organization can really lead in a very significant 265 billion euros if we just consider top 100 European manufacturer. And that's extremely significant benefit. And the last initiative, so we say we need to connect the shop floor to the rest of the organization. So last initiatives is really connecting the shop floor with the sales and back and forth interaction. So this in the past was a process that was called sales operational planning. It was a process that was defined as a war room, because it was a very hard touch point between sales and operational department agreeing on budget. But of course now with the demand moving so fast, companies need to update the operational process very quickly to be able to generate the best production plan in real time and support customers the best way they can. So this process clock of the sales operational planning is augmenting significantly, is becoming real time. So companies need to rely on extensive amount of data calculation to make simulation and understand how to make these processes quicker and much more aligned to demand. And just to provide you an example of the impacts of this thing, I am not relying on a case study, but relying on a study we did recently. So we surveyed about 360 companies, of which 120 interviews were carried in European Union, and I'm showing here the European numbers. And one of the key results of the study is that companies in Europe are really moving up the maturity model in the sales operational planning. So moving away from a organization that has no sales operation planning or really very basic level towards something that is more extended, involves more business function, and is in real time. And good news is that European companies are much ahead of other companies worldwide in this process. And just to provide you an example of the benefits, we did a calculation on the impact on supply chain metrics as company augmented on the maturity model, and you see that moving from level to level leads to a significant impact, especially on response time, of course, on delivery time, time to market, this 50% improvement, 100% improvement, and it's really significant. That is one done a very big panel of companies. It was very outstanding result, I think, we generated from our research. And to European level, what does it mean? Well, you see the number. We can see a very significant improvement in order delivery time, response time, and time to market. So that could have a significant impact at the European level. And now we have allotted all the key initiative company put it together, but we need to talk back now about the future. So linking back to what Sergio has said, and what the key thing happening in the future. So is our third initiative, or third D, that is really entails for company to become digitally executed. So company with an embedded customer-centric culture and a 3D platform in place, company will be able to enable autonomous processes. So this happens on the organizational point of view. So we have companies that move away from organizational silos towards self-forming teams, so having organization being dynamically managed each time a new business problem arises through use of cloud and social business, create new teams, and be more flexible in dealing with business problems. But also from the operational point of view, by the use of new technologies such as Internet of Things, intelligent robotics, 3D printing, creating autonomous or self-healing processes. And to better talk about that, I just wanted to show you what was the results of our Futurescape report that we did in January. So we put together a number of decision imperatives, so trying to highlight what are the impact of each of these initiatives on the manufacturing business, and showing you the result of the Futurescape that was specifically done on Internet of Things and the shop floor, so this digitally executed business. So the huge impact here is really having that the flow of material components through the supply chain it will be synergic with the information flows. So in the future, there will be no separation between products and materials and information. And one of the most striking examples could be that object will become, in a sense, self-aware even when being produced. So they will analyze their own production status and quality, and interact with the producing machine, and sharing this information with other machines or even human. And given these huge opportunities, investments in enabling this digitally executed manufacturing will increase 50% by 2020. And in terms of adoption rates, this really means that today we see a good number of companies already, about 15%, beginning to put the foundation together for digitally executed manufacturing, but this number will just be more than 65% by 2020. So this will take several years, but is a process that is certainly starting now. So I'm heading back to you, Karen, for the Q&A session.
Okay, thank you for that, Lorenzo. We have been getting a couple of questions already for different speakers, I think, as well. Maybe start with you, Lorenzo, while you're still on the line. You talked about the impact of Internet of Things in driving autonomous processes, but what exactly are the data implications of that? Do you have any specific advice to share?
Yes, well, yeah, so, sorry, I didn't mention it during my presentation, but the biggest implication is that, as I said, the information flow and the process flows will become a single flow, and since IT department will become integral to the process management, this of course will have a huge impact on the way company manage their IT and their IT governments, and the CIO will really merge with the COO, the Chief Operating Officer, and what we see that this convergence will eventually require organization to define the role for a chief digital officer. So this organizational transformation is happening already in other industries, for example, in the energy, that is more advanced than manufacturing on this end, but it's happening gradually in the manufacturer as well. So it's something that company will need to think about. So merging these two functions and really solving the traditional gap that is between these two functions, IT and operation. And the last point, really, what advice I would like to companies is like we typically see a lack of data experts, especially when it comes to the shop floor. So we did a research recently, and this highlighted that 42% of companies really lack the understanding, as said, of data context and the meaning. So what is missing is a proper semantic search engine capability to be able to extract the essential piece of information out of the myriads of data that are produced and shared. And as such, when this information flow will become more and more pervasive, that would be an essential capability for companies to achieve. So that's it. Back to you, Karen.
Thanks, Lorenzo. Yeah, there's a couple more questions. Maybe another one for you. Kasia Jakumovic is wondering, what is the competitive position of Europe exactly as compared to US and Japan on these matters?
Yeah, Europe is at the forefront. So Europe is leading the way. We've seen all the Industry 4.0 initiatives with the German government, and of course a panel of key companies that are leading the way. US in a way is following back, and another organization, another country that is really moving very quick on this end is besides Japan is Korea and also China. But just a caveat for EU practitioners. I mean, what we see the bigger risk in that is that the initiatives is driven by big enterprises. So the like of Siemens, the like of ABB, the like of SAP, big enterprises that are leading this change, this transformation. So they would be essential to make it possible for this technology, for these findings that are being created out of Europe, to spill over down to smaller businesses, to be able to have them catch up and being at the forefront of the market. So we need to really involve decision makers at the European level, to involve a way to generate a way to really make it possible for these big projects to have an impact also and being transmitted to small medium business. And again, this new technology are very cheap. There's not a problem of a cost. It's more a problem of business direction, of strategy, and company culture. So in this sense, SMB can really deploy technologies that are up to speed with bigger enterprise, but we need to find a way to make it happen, because typically this company lack this strategic perspective that allows them to move this way. But this is a key issue for Europe, but Europe is very well positioned in this battle.
Okay, thanks, Lorenzo. I have quite some more questions, so we'll have to keep the answers short, and I'll try to combine questions whenever I can. There's one coming in over Twitter saying, with automated processes, what is the expected impact on employment numbers? And I have a slightly related question here on the question tool from Matthew Williams asking, as human labor is replaced by the big data, artificial intelligence and robotics, how will our current economic system deal with the displacement of workers in the real economy? Or do we actually need to shift away from the current economic paradigm?
Yeah,
Can you address that?
1 minute. No, I mean all this. The key point is that all this technology are decision support systems. So there will be a human being taking the decision. I'm talking about big data analytics at the moment. So this really doesn't make that there will be less and less people employed. There will be different people employed. So, for example, on the shop floor, we talked about the factory of the future, and we talked about information-intensive factory of the future. So, the role of the shop floor will not be anymore in a modern production environment. The role of a mundane worker, somebody who does simply a sort of narrow-minded job, but would be more of a intellectual job. So, for example, you take a decision: what happens if I move production from this line to the other line? What if I give priority to this production process, or I move, I give preference to this other customer fulfillment process, etc., etc. You need, because in the past you don't take this decision because you just get an order for somebody. Now you have the opportunity for the shop floor worker to take this decision autonomously, because they have the information available, so you know the impact of your decision on the whole organization or the whole supply chain. So in this sense, it changed the role. Of course, there will be more skilled people in the shop floor that has a broader view than the traditional, let's say, blue-collar worker, and of course, skilled people in putting together the process and highlighting the way this process, improving the way this process are carried over through the use of data. And of course, in this sense, the fight for skill and talent will be, and considering the aging workforce that is happening in the organization, will be a significant battle the company will have to fight, and will have to find new way to retain the skilled people and ensure they join the organization and go as well. So it will be a a very difficult battle to fight. But at the end, we see a change in the quality of people involved in the factory, not necessarily a reduction in the number.
Okay, thanks, Lorenzo. Just 2-3 more questions coming up. Anna Flavia Bianchi wants to know, and thanks to organizers and all speakers for the interesting and rich presentations. Thanks for that. But Lorenzo, she would like to know which proportion of companies of your sample has final customers versus business customers on the one hand, and also whether BB infrastructure is a relevant constraint. And additionally, who in the company is bearing the choice actually of adopting a new ICT solution device? So that's 3 questions in one. Could you very shortly address that?
Yeah, and very quickly. So the traditional difference between B2B business and B2C business has to disappear, because all companies now are B2C. Even they can say you are B2B2C, but the speed of business is being really amplified by the fact that consumers are more mutable in their rights, so in the choices, and they can select products very easily on the web. So, for example, a machinery company has to be able to supplement their products to a say, food manufacturing much quicker, because the food manufacturing has to move quicker to follow the demand. So again, this traditional dichotomy is fading away, so we can talk about B2B to C. I think the second question was about B2B channels.
Yes, let me get back to it. Whether B2B infrastructure is a relevant constraint?
No, yeah, it's really another very interesting thing. We didn't talk about this in the survey, but we did recently a very significant research. We saw that, of course, in the past, B2B was considered just as a commodity, so a way to share data with your trading partner without any business value. But now we see that more and more companies, through the use of this technology, are deploying collaborative, share, and synchronous way of sharing information, so using cloud platform, and having a more back and forth interaction with their suppliers and with their customer. So having a real-time back and forth interaction, and we did an impact, and we see that company with this technology in place had much better supply chain results. So again, elevating the role of B2B platform from being a mere commodity toward being business enabler is an essential feature for a company in the future. We did the study recently, and it was very interesting to understand that for us as well.
Okay. Anna Flavia had a couple of additional questions because I misread it. This one was actually on the constraints of broadband infrastructure, but I would propose that we put you in touch directly so you can address the additional questions. There was one last one, maybe for Sergio, if you could hand him back the microphone, and then we will wrap up announcing the next webinar as well. Is Sergio still there to discuss whether any cross-country cooperation on learning training activity is actually going on? Another question by Anna Flavia. No? Then we'll address that one-on-one as well. Then I want to thank you all for your attention. This was a very interesting seminar, notwithstanding the technical issues that we had to overcome. Thanks for bearing with us. We did do a thorough testing, but of course, as it goes with technology, everything goes wrong when you go live. So thanks for that. I want to reassure you that both the IDC study on this topic and the slides presented to you today will be circulated in this group, so you can read through that carefully and address us with any additional questions that you might have. And I would also like to invite you already to our next webinar that will be coming up, which will address the impact of big data on retail. So that might lead into another interesting discussion and very lively Q&A at the end. So with that, I would like to thank the speakers again, all three of you, Giorgio, Lorenzo, and Sergio. Any other questions coming up over Twitter or through the tool will be addressed to the speakers directly, so you can follow up with them directly after the webinar.